And I was just reading the Master's Handbook again a couple of days ago, Illusions by Richard Bach, and I heard Jerry talk about it a lot, and it brought me to you. And I thought it was pure fiction when I read it 30 years ago, and I wanted it so badly to be true, and I went on this wild path around everything, wanting this, but Source just kept leading me all over my path of least resistance.
There you go. So you figured that out because you're reaching for something that you're not quite in the receptive mode of, but you're in the receptive mode for something that will lead you to it, and then you're in the receptive mode for that, and then you're in the receptive mode for that. And so when we talk about your inner being knows where you are in relationship with where you want to be at all times, and knows the path of least resistance, and important to know, you've put all the resistance on the path. And your inner being isn't saying, oh, you shouldn't have put that resistance there. Instead, your inner being is saying, given the resistance that is there, how about this? How about this? How about this? Lovingly guiding you to where your inner being knows you want to be, given where you are. Isn't that just the best thing to understand ever?
Yeah. So it's been a wonderful adventure of a ride. I've loved my life so much. And I'm wondering, you talked about Jesus and this energy field around him, and I feel energy around us, and I was sitting on the plane here, and I'm thinking, oh God, we're just all crammed together, and people pay so much extra to sit up here. And I wonder where we begin and end. Who is me, and what makes me unique, because it's changing constantly, and my perceptions and my desires and everything is changing so much that I don't know what to hold on to that's me. And is there a deep core of me that's really me? And is everybody out here just thought forms that I've created? And how do we mix it up? And when we create with one another, what is this co-creation thing? And do we actually meld with each other in the physical world? Jerry and Esther, Jester, do we become parts of each other in physical, or are we just mirrors and thought forms and all this?
Yes, yes, and yes, and yes. You are melding before you come. So let's start with this. It's easier for you to hear. There is continual vibrational intertwining. And so to the degree that any one of you is in sync with who you really are, then that melding process is even more clearly orchestrated, because when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, those who occur to you and those that appear before you and those that you realize are in vibrational sync with that. That's why as you look around the world, you can see these pockets of well-being and these pockets of not well-being. Now, the important thing to realize is that everyone has control over achieving this before you begin to do your attracting. But so many people aren't consciously or deliberately reaching for thoughts and therefore accomplishing vibrations and therefore accomplishing a point of attraction and therefore controlling the kind of experiences that they're having with one another. So as you are moving about in your physical bodies, you are sometimes in same spaces, like moving through busy traffic or moving through busy downtown foot traffic, but you are not all vibrationally meshing with one another. The key to a really happy life is to be aware of and tending to only one vibrational caring, and that is, I want to be hooked up with me before I proceed. And if that is your intention, then whether you're on a crowded airplane or whether you're on a busy street, only those who are a vibrational match can be part of your experience, because there's this sort of thing going on. If you are in harmony, then off you go together. If you're not in harmony, then off you go. But our friend was talking a moment ago about empathizing. So this is what happens that is not beneficial to so many people. Instead of paying attention to their alignment with who they are, instead they're paying attention to all of the other physicalities that are around them. And so they become empathetic and then vibrationally same with so much that's going on around them that they lose their connection with what really matters, and they become part of the crowd or the herd of what is not wanted. So now?
But that's not really me. That gets mixed in with all of that. The real me is Source.
And perfectly said. And if the real you is with Source, but the physical you is mixed in with something that your inner being hasn't come along with, how do you feel in the mixing?
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. So you can tell who's at the party every time. That's why we've said over the years, so many different ways of saying it. Get on your high-flying disc and then, or get into the vortex and then, get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and then. In other words, let that be your priority and then proceed. But so often people are proceeding wanting that experience to take them there. You got to get there and then bring the experience to you.
So how do we do these close interactions with people without morphing into them?
You won't morph into anyone that you're not a vibrational match to. Law of attraction will not let that happen.
Because it feels bad.
But this conversation, what you're asking for, is about the momentum factor. There was quite a bit of time that Esther was doing focus wheels in order to clean up vibration. She'd choose something that felt good, and then she'd try to find things that felt like it. So she was using her focus wheels to improve her vibration. These days, she uses good feeling focus wheels only to practice the momentum of good feeling vibration. Because you meet people where you are. So if you're feeling really good and you get on an airplane where there are some people not feeling good and some people feeling good, you'll meet on the level that you are. So what you're really talking about is having some sort of management of where you are. That's why we talk about the unconditionalness of it, not letting what's going on control where you are, not letting where other people are control where you are.
My happiness doesn't depend on them.
It doesn't. It doesn't. That's what true freedom is. Freedom is understanding that. Freedom is understanding that you can be joyful because that's what you're reaching for. You can be joyful anyway. It's hard to hear that at first because if you're standing in the middle of a lot of unwanted stuff and someone says that to you, it's just irritating because it feels like the conditions around you are controlling the way you feel. And you want to say, give me a better condition and then I'll have a better feeling response to that condition. You say to each other, I want to be happy, and when you act like that, I'm happy, but when you act like that, I'm not happy, so always act like that so I can be happy. But when you act like that, and I'm not happy, and you're preventing me from my happiness because of the way you are behaving. And you can extend that to your people who are up close to you and to all of the people of the world. When I look at this situation, I cannot be happy. And it feels rude or uncaring to a lot of humans when they hear us say, don't look there if it makes you unhappy. And they think that what we're saying is be so selfish and unkind to anyone else and only care about yourself, which is pretty much what we're saying. But what happens is if you are selfish enough to care about what you're saying so that you are consistently in sync with source energy, now when you think about them, you can help them. And now when you think about them, you don't join them empathetically in their misery. You see them compassionately from your alignment with source. And that is help. That's why you can be on the other side of the world from some terrible problem. And because you're removed from the details of it, it's easier for you to imagine solution. It's easier for you to step back into the well-being of the situation for them because you're not in the trenches with the discomfort with them. But your news media makes it difficult for you today to step back from anything. They want to bring you right into the same empathetic struggle that they're living. And when you're there, then you're just part of the struggle, which is what you were wanting to get at. So just pull back from it and go general enough that you can get there, care about getting there, care about getting there, care about getting there, care about getting there until you're consistently there. And then you can focus on anything you want without risk of losing your connection. And then from your connected state, as you are giving them your undivided attention, it does help. Esther has helped babies on airplanes feel better when their ears are hurting. She can hear them. She can hear them starting to fuss. She knows what's going on. And she just holds them in her consciousness, knowing that baby's inner being has the ability to adjust that baby's. And Esther focuses, and every single time, within a few seconds usually, the baby stops crying. That's not empathy, that's compassionate power of influence. Focusing on someone who doesn't feel good from a place of knowing that they can, knowing for sure that they can, knowing unequivocally that they can, knowing without doubt that they can, you see.
But staying there.
How do you stay there? By wanting to be there. And what increases your wanting to be there? Not being there. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Trusting that you can be there, noticing when you are, being proud of yourself when you are, being proud of yourself when you're not, giving yourself a break, noting that you're figuring this out. Something more?
One little silly question. What about sleepwalkers and people that grind their teeth in the night like myself? Wonder about that.
What about it?
I thought we released everything and just, but so why is my physical body still carrying on while I'm sleeping?
As you were just saying, getting better and better and better and better and better. So the train's going 80 miles an hour that way, and you want it to go 80 miles an hour that way. But you don't want it to suddenly stop going 80 miles an hour that way and go 80 miles an hour that way, because there would be a lot of disruption to what's on the train. It needs to slow and then go again. And so there is momentum. What we said is, when you sleep, you're not adding to the momentum of the thought, but the thought that you've thought before is right where you last left it, you see. And so as you awaken, or as you are aware that you're grinding your teeth, you might stop and talk to yourself consciously. There's nothing for me to worry about here. There's some sort of tension that I'm holding for no reason. All is well here. How do you know you're grinding your teeth? Do you wake up catching yourself, or are your teeth disappearing?
They're disappearing.
But do you have any awareness when it's happening?
Unless somebody's kicking me.
So when you come into awareness of it, then consciously just relax. Consciously relax. Acknowledge that there's no reason to hold this tension, that it's something that you've been worried about before. Replace that thought with another thought. Years ago, someone came to a seminar, in fact, here in San Antonio. It was talking about having moved into a house, and he felt like there was uncomfortable energy that was in the house. He wondered if something bad had happened there, or if there had been some sort of tragedy or trauma that had happened there, and he wanted to know what to do. And we said, just fill the space up with you. Just get in there and be happy. And in your happiness, the two vibrations are not going to coexist. Fill the space up with you. So it's the same sort of thing. As you acknowledge ease, tension has to go away. So as you acknowledge well-being, not well-being has to go away. It's just a matter of leaning in the direction of who you really are. So we said today, and we said we've never said this before, and you're tapping into that with this question here, that what you've thought before, what you've been thinking, what you've been saying, what you've been thinking has created a momentum. That's why you have beliefs about things. A belief is just a thought you continue to think. A belief is vibrational momentum, isn't it? So when you have a belief about something, that means you've got momentum about it. So if you believe you can't do something and you want to do something, you've got some contradiction going on within you. So it would be nice if you could get that contradictory belief to subside. But when you give your attention to the unwanted belief, it just gets bigger. As you say, hey belief, you're in my way, you should stop, it just gets bigger. So what you want to do is just give your desire more airtime than your belief. And as you give your desire more attention time, more talk time, more awareness time, it becomes dominant. Every vibration that has ever existed still exists. Every thought that has ever been thought still exists. They're out there in a vibrational library that you can tap into at any time, and you can pick up on the momentum of them. Some years ago, a woman was visiting with us. She lived in the Bay Area up near San Francisco. And she said, Abraham, I've been driving across these bridges for years and not having any problem with it. And now I'm having this terrible fear when I go across the bridge. I want to lie on the floor of my car. I just can't stand it. And we said, oh, you're just bumping into thought forms. She didn't want to hear it. There are thought forms I'm bumping into. Here's the most important question. If you were going across the bridge before with no problem, why suddenly are you bumping into these fearful thought forms? What's activated in you that's now making you match up with that? She knew right away. There was a burglary in our neighborhood. And I've been going to meetings. We're trying to decide, do we want to put bars on our windows? Do we want to have a watchman that roams around? Do we want to get a gate that no one can come through unless they've got a passcode? And so her fearful attention to something activated a vibration within her that caused her to match up with thought forms that she had not matched up with before. You see what we're getting at? Absolutely. Everything's out there. What's your point of attraction? What is it that you've got going on vibrationally that makes you a vibrational match to that, you see? And so don't try to fix things. Just replace them with better feeling things. Care about the way you feel and notice that you're feeling better and better and better and better. So there are two things, we talked about these earlier, two things that you can do to improve your point of attraction. One is step back further from it. Go general about it. Because when you are less specific, there is less momentum every single time. And the other is Care about how you feel. Care about how you feel so that you can tell when it's time to step back.